And before we actually start our activity, I want to show you another quick trick. Since we're just starting out AutoCAD and you're not quite sure which direction, what tools to use, one of the good tricks of AutoCAD is the grid, which is very similar to a graph paper that you put as an underlay and put a trash paper over to draw something, and which helps you to guide your drawing in straight lines on a very specific grid. Now, AutoCAD has an inbuilt grid here which does not plot, it is just there for a guideline. If you go to the status bar here, the third icon there is for grid. When you click on it, you get a grid on your screen. Now right now it's not set to anything. You can right click on the grid icon, go to settings and specify exactly how far apart you want each of those dots to be. You can have your grid spacing to be 1/2 inch, 1 inch, 6 inches, how much ever you want. I'm going to set it up to 1/2 inch. You can also set up a snap setting similar to object snap, where CAD was snapping onto the end point and the midpoint and perpendicular point on an object. You can specify at what point on the grid do you want CAD to snap. And again, these snap points are not going to plot, they're just for your guideline. You can have them snap at 1/2 inch increments. You can also reduce that and have it at 1/4 inch increments. So you can have a different spacing and a different snap setting. You can leave the grid on and turn the snap on and click OK. Now, say I wanted to draw something 6 inches wide. I know that my grid is, each of these increments is at 1/2 inch. I can start my line command. I'm going to zoom in a little bit and click on one point, and I can count 1/2, 1, 1.5, 2, 2.5, so on and so forth till I hit, let's see, 6 inches. Now I know that my snap is on. So when I click, I know that this line is precisely 6 inches wide. I can go down and make this next line 5.5 inches wide, and I can go this way and make this line 6 inches wide. Because I'm using my grids, I know that I'm being very precise. And right now, while I'm getting used to AutoCAD, this can be a very handy tool to just get used to drawing in AutoCAD. And hit enter. Your commands still work the same way, it's just that the grid is helping you draw. The next activity we're going to do, we're going to use the grid to help us draw the activity, and this is going to use all the commands that we so far learned: the ellipse, the rectangle command, and the circle command. If you want, you could also use the donut, but that is optional. I'm going to delete this. What we're going to draw is this little pattern here. Now, I'm going to zoom in here. What I have is a outer square which is 6.5 inches this way and 6 inches this way, and there are a whole bunch of inside dimensions. Okay, now the quickest way for me to figure out how this works, if you see there is a 1/2 inch increment here, and looks like this is also 1/2 inch and this is 3/4. So if I look at my drawing, I can understand, okay, I need something that'll help me snap onto 1/2 inch increments as well as 1/4 inch increments. So the grid that we set up for a drawing is perfect. I'm going to go back to this, and now we know that the outer rectangle is 6.5 inches by 6 inches. I have the option of either using the rectangle command or using my grid to start this drawing. I'm actually going to use the rectangle command so you can get used to practicing it. I'm going to start the rectangle command, so I click here, and I'm going to click on one grid point here just to get started. Sort of move my mouse along that direction. I remember horizontal direction first always. Our rectangle is 6.5 inches wide, 6 inches high. So we're going to type at 6.5 to specify 6.5 inches, comma 6, and hit enter, and there's our rectangle, 6.5 inches by 6 inches high. I'm going to go back to my drawing. Now I notice that it has a circle in the center and the radius is 1 inch. I also notice that there are diagonal lines going across, which I can easily draw using my O snap. So I'm going to first draw the diagonal lines. I'm going to go to the line command. I use the rectangle command for the outer rectangle because it has to be all connected. The diagonal lines inside don't have to be connected, and so I'm going to use the line command and my O snaps. So I go from this corner endpoint to this corner endpoint, hit enter to stop my line command, hit enter again to start the line command again, and go back to this endpoint and then this endpoint and hit enter. Now I know that I have a circle inside, the radius of which is 1 inch. So I go to my circle command. I'm going to zoom in using my scroll mouse. Make sure that my O snaps are snapping to the midpoint of the two lines. And then I'm going to specify 1 inch as the radius of my circle. So I have my outer rectangle using the rectangle command. I drew the diagonal lines inside using the line command and then the circle inside. The next thing that I see are these ellipses, which seem to be going from this axis to that axis, and they are joining at the head of the circle there. So I'm going to go to my ellipse command and use the center option. The center of the ellipse is the same as the circle. One axis is at the top over here, and the second axis is at the end of the circle there. Okay, I'm going to draw the other one. Go to ellipse, center point, the end of the axis, and then the other end of the axis is the head of the circle, and there you have it. Now the next thing you notice on our pattern is there are these triangles. This one is 2 inches wide, 1/2 inch apart, and 3/4 inch high. This one is 1.5 inch wide, 3/4 inch high, and 1/2 inch apart. Luckily for us, our grid is going to let us draw these triangles accurately. Now if you look here very closely, you have 1, 2, 3 points. Well, 4 points here. That amounts to 1/2 inch, 1 inch, and 1.5 inches, and it can go up 3/4 inches because our snaps are set to 1/4 inches. Up here, if you look, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 points, which are going to add up to 2 inches, which is just perfect. So all we're going to do is use the grid and the line command to draw triangles. I'm going to start at this point, go up here, 3 dots down, click on this point. Oh, my ortho is on, so I'm going to turn off my ortho because I want to go diagonal. There it is, the diagonal line snapping onto 3/4 of an inch, and there. And I'm going to either right click or I'm going to hit enter twice to end my line command. I'm going to do the same thing on the top here. Click, click, and then I'm going to snap here in the middle of the 4 corners because my snap are set to 1/4 inch. Click and hit enter. For this triangle, I am going to use the line command. Go from 1 is 1/2 inch, 1 inch, 1.5, 2 inches. And I'm going to snap all the way up here, 3/4 inch high, and then to that other endpoint and hit enter, and repeat the same process over here. And there I have it, the simple pattern, very quickly drawn using the rectangle, line, ellipse, and circle command. Now before you close AutoCAD, you always want to save your file, and remember this is the file we started with, and so it says John Doe's project. You can just go to file and click save to save this file, or if you wanted to save it as a different file, you can click on save as and then type activity module 1A and then click on save. Before you do that, make sure you're saving it in the AutoCAD folder we created. Click on save, and there you have it. This is the end of module 1A, where we learned the draw toolbar.